Thank you for joining us for this very special Child Protection Week event and for helping us celebrate our 10th birthday as a centre. My name's Fiona Arney. I'm the Director of the Australian Centre for Child Protection, and I'm going to be kicking off proceedings today. We're going to hear from our National Advisory Council Chair, the Honourable Justice Robin Layton, and we're also going to have be presenting to you some of our new research findings from our earliest career researchers who are going to be introduced to you by our senior staff at the centre. So we thank you very much for joining us. We thank you all for your incredible interest in this. I think we booked out within 24 hours, so you're among the esteemed few to get seats to this event. Child Protection Week happens in the first week of September in every year, and it's really focused on how everyone can play their part in preventing child abuse and neglect and keeping kids safe. And we have been astounded by the level of interest, but also the wide variety of people who have come to be part of this day with us. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. You have survived the first test we gave you, which is to find this lecture theatre. It is, I think I walked up about 5 stairs and I've got a fear of heights, so well done to anyone who survived the outside of the building, as I did. There is an access toilet outside, but if you do need bathrooms, they're across the way, and you go across to the Barbara Hanrahan building and out the other side, and there's men's and women's toilets on either side there. And if we do need to evacuate, we go out to the Barbara Hanrahan building and down outside there and across the way. So, as I said, I'm going to give a little brief introduction about the Australian Centre for Child Protection. We're bombarding you with information about us at the minute. Some of you may have heard a presentation that talks about what the centre is and what we do, and this is our website. Before I do that, I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on Kaurna country. I would like to acknowledge what that means to us as a centre, as we acknowledge the importance of connection to country and culture and land, and as we acknowledge the role that elders play and that every person plays in keeping children safe. And as part of that recognition, we have identified as our first ambassador for children Aunt Sue Blacklock. Some of you may know Auntie Sue. She's actually from New South Wales. Some of you may know her son Nathan Blacklock if you follow rugby. I don't know if there's rugby followers here? No, shaking. We're in the wrong state for that. Other places there'd be awed sounds and it would be amazing. Auntie Sue Blacklock is the grandmother and great-grandmother of over 90 children. She has dedicated her life to protecting children and keeping children safe and to preventing another stolen generation. She's a senior elder of the, and I always pronounce wrong, the Nkuruma people of the Gamilaroi Nation. And we are working closely with her about different ways that we can make a difference for Aboriginal children, and I'm more than happy to speak to people about that work we're doing. Imagine that you had the ability to address a social problem that was of such magnitude it affected 1 in 20 children, that you were able to work in an area where there was an absolute dearth of research. There wasn't much known about the extent of the problem, there wasn't much known about what could be done about it, there wasn't much known about what the consequences were of that problem, but also how you get change embedded in systems. Imagine that that was something that you really could contribute to in your lifetime. Well, at the Australian Centre for Child Protection, we have that absolute honour to be doing that work. I think Robin will talk a little bit more about the need for evidence-based practice in this area, but when the centre was created about 10 years ago, the Australian evidence base was extremely, extremely sparse around what could be done differently to prevent child abuse and neglect and respond to it. And you'll be hearing from some of, as we mentioned, some of our early career researchers who have set themselves out at the beginnings of a path around child protection research and child abuse and neglect research. And you know, I've just had my 40th birthday, so now I can tell tales about when I was a girl. But when I did do my PhD several years ago now, there wasn't the opportunity to specialise in child protection research as there is now. And through centres such as our centre and the Institute for Child Protection Studies at Australian Catholic University, there is now the opportunity to specialise in child protection research as a research field and to develop career pathways in that. And I think Leah's going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through. Our centre was created because of an acknowledgement of the gap. The Commonwealth Government acknowledged there was a real gap in what's known around child welfare, but also what's done, the gap between what we do know about what we might do differently and what's actually seen in practice and policy. And so the Australian Government did commit to establishing the centre and really to get us on our feet for a while. And we had 10 years of that commitment, and we're now able to fly, really. We've gone from strength to strength, and we're now into our 11th year, and really through the pathways we're creating around early career researchers, also mid-career researchers, being able to shift their attention to this really important social problem, and through the networks we develop with policy makers, with practitioners, from frontline through to senior executives, we really want to make a difference on the ground. So we do research that is applied. We do some theoretical work, but it's mainly applying theory to applied problems. We don't exist for research's sake, we exist for the difference research can make in the lives of very vulnerable children. It's why we're here. We have recently refined the focus of our work into 3 areas. So we talk about research, so that includes evaluations. We also, and we conduct that research from working with children on the ground through to working and looking at system reform. We also have a clear focus on, as I mentioned, trying to reduce the overrepresentation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children in our systems. We also have a focus on policy and policy solutions and making sure that what we do is relevant and can be applied in very complex, politicised contexts in child protection. And we work alongside people to be able to do that. And we also are very interested in practice and changing frontline practice so that children may be recognised when other times they may be overlooked. For example, when adult-focused services focus more on the needs of adults, we want to also see, for example, if you're a drug and alcohol service, if you're a homelessness service, if you're a mental health service, what's going on for the children of your clients and how can you respond to their needs so that they don't get hidden. As I said, we're going to have 3 presentations from our early career researchers. We're going to have Olivia Ockerman, we're going to have Jenna Meeksons, and we're going to have Stuart McDougall, and they're going to be introduced by myself, by Associate Professor Leah Bromfield, and by Dr. Sarah McLean. But before we get to that, those exciting presentations, I am very delighted to introduce to you the Chair of our National Advisory Council. Our National Advisory Council is made up of distinguished Australians who very much guide the senior staff in the centre about what we should be doing as a centre to make an impact for children. And that advice has been so invaluable in how we think about the work we do and where we might put our efforts and attentions. And that National Advisory Council is led by the Honourable Justice Robin Layton. And many of you will know Robin through her career in the law. Many of you will know her as the author of the Layton Review that has guided South Australian policy and also has highlighted different ways of working for vulnerable children. You will also, some of you may know Robin as the co-chair of Reconciliation SA, and some of you may know her as the South Australian nominee for Australian of the Year 2012, was it? 2012. So we are delighted to be guided by Robin and her colleagues on our National Advisory Council in that work, and I'm delighted to introduce you to Robin now.